What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another FPL video on the channel. And in today's one, we are back with another transfer talks video where we will be discussing all things to do with game week 23, and what better place to start than speaking on the Liverpool assets, because in my opinion, right, from this point onwards, we should be looking to triple up on the Liverpool players, as they do have a great fixture in game week 23 against Ipswich at home, and then a double game week in game week 24 to follow up after that, right? So I think now is the perfect time to triple up on the Liverpool players. Now, first things first, I do want to point out that in my opinion, Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold are the two must-have plays that you need for this running, right? That's just my personal opinion, and I think everyone watching this video probably already has Mohamed Salah anyway, right? That goes without saying. But if you don't have Trent, I would definitely be working a way to bring this man in your FPL team, because I think, look, with Trent, with Mohamed Salah, these two players, right, are so explosive, and in my opinion, they both have the highest ceiling for points in this run-in for Liverpool, right? With Trent, you've got the clean sheet potential in these games, but you've also got the attack and returns potential, and with Mohamed Salah, I mean, we just know what he can do. That goes without saying, right? So in my opinion, the two players, the non-negotiables, the absolute must-haves, in my opinion, is Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. But with that being said, guys, I guess the question is, well, who do we go for as our third Liverpool asset to partner up with Trent and to partner up with Mohamed Salah? Now, in my opinion, right, I don't actually think there is a right or wrong answer to this. I just think it's team dependent, and also it depends on your appetite for risk. Because what I'll say is this, right, guys, if you were to go for a third Liverpool defender for your third Liverpool slot, whether it's Alisson, Konate or Van Dijk, you're pretty much guaranteed the starts, you're guaranteed the minutes, and the security is just there, right, from a minutes perspective, right? However, the same can't really be said for someone like Cody Gakpo or Luis Diaz, for example. I think, yes, they are good picks if they start, if they get the good minutes, but the question is, will they get the good minutes and will they start both games? I don't think we can sort of guarantee that, and I think they're much more of a rotation risk, and the minutes aren't as secure with Gakpo and Diaz. However, what I will say, especially for Gakpo, right, although he might be considered a minutes risk to an extent, I do think he is sort of I would refer to Gakpo as like a high risk, high reward type asset, and I do think he's got a quite high ceiling. I do think the potential for a high amount of points is certainly there with Gakpo. It just depends on whether you are willing to sort of be prepared for maybe an early substitution, for example, right? Gakpo could certainly only get 60 minutes in one game, because you do have the likes of Darwin Núñez waiting to come in. So for me, the potential with Gakpo is there, but it's not as much as a guarantee for minutes, right? He's not as much as of a guarantee for good minutes when you compare it to the other defenders for Liverpool. Now, look, in terms of minutes, right, Gakpo his minutes have actually looked quite good recently. I'm not going to lie, right? His minutes have looked quite good. 86 minutes against Brentford, 90 against Forest, 85 against United, 57, that's not great, against West Ham, 90 and 90 against Leicester. So as of recent, his minutes have looked quite decent. However, I just think you can never be too sure with the Liverpool attackers and their minutes, right? They're always at risk of being subbed off early or a surprise benching. So for me, as I said, are you willing to take that risk is the question. Now, if you are, who do you go for? Gakpo or Diaz? For me, it's Gakpo, right? I would go for Gakpo over Diaz. For me, Diaz's minutes are a lot worse than Cody Gakpo's, and even in just open play in general, I think Cody Gakpo's goal threat right now, as of late, has been a lot better than Luis Diaz, for example. So if you are someone that has a high appetite for risk and is willing to take that risk with a Liverpool attacker, I would personally go for Gakpo over Luis Diaz. I mean, as you guys can see here, Diaz's minutes haven't been as good as Cody Gakpo's, right? So for that reason, if you're willing to take the risk, like I said, I would go for Cody Gakpo. Now, another thing that I want to talk about, and another thing I did mention earlier on, aside from your appetite for risk, is team dependent, guys. It's team dependent. Now, if you're to look at my team, for example, right, I feel like the reason why I'm not really considering Gakpo as much is because, or Diaz as much, is because I just feel like I don't need another forward. I don't need to replace any of my forwards. I don't need to replace any of my midfielders. I'm not going to replace Isak, right, with Gakpo. I'm so happy with Mateta, right? He's got good fixtures coming up, and I'm so happy with Mbuemo Wissa. So for me, I look at my team and I think, yeah, Gakpo is nice, but I don't really need another Liverpool forward. I look at my midfield, I'm more than happy with it. I don't really need another Liverpool midfielder. I look at my defence, however, and now I start to see some issues, and now I think, yes, I would like either Konate or I would like Alisson to replace Raya, or Konate to replace Mazraoui or Robinson, for example. So That's why I say it's team dependent, because for me, in my personal situation with my team, I feel like I need a defender more than I need an attacker. And I also do like the way I want to play it is I would rather go for the security in minutes of Konate as well, right? But that's just my personal preference with this double game week. You might prefer to take the risk with Gakpo, which is completely fine. Honestly, it really is. But as I said, guys, it's team dependent. Now, if I had someone like João Pedro in my team, for example, in my opinion, João Pedro, he's been stinking up the place for a while now. I'm not going to lie, right? He's been a pretty poor FPL asset in my opinion. If I had someone like João Pedro in my team, I'd be more than happy to sort of find a way to replace João Pedro and upgrade him to Cody Gakpo this week, for example, right? But as I said, it just depends on your team. So I don't really think there is a wrong or right answer as to who you go for your third Liverpool slot. Whether it's another defender or another attacker is completely down to you. What is your team shape looking like and what is your appetite for risk? However, as I said, the two must-have players in my opinion, of course, is Trent and Mohamed Salah. So yeah, that is sort of my just opinion overall. Now, just to quickly end it off, guys, as you can see on your screens right now, I've got sort of like a tier list or like a table, sort of like a ranking system for these Liverpool players. And in the must-have section, I've got Mohamed Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold. And then for the great third option, in that tier, I've got Van Dijk, Alisson, Konate, Gakpo and Luis Diaz. I will say that with Konate, he did speak about recently about him having to take painkillers to play matches, right? Since he's come back from injury, I think, you know, he's not really fully fit. So look, if you think going for Konate is a bit risky, then you can go for Van Dijk or Alisson instead. But me personally, I do think Konate will play both games in the double game week. So I overall do think he's a good third option. And then we also do have Gakpo and Luis Diaz. If it's, you know, if you're choosing between one of these two players, as I said, I prefer Gakpo. But Luis Diaz, his minutes could actually be slightly a bit better for this double because Diogo Jota has been confirmed out for a few weeks. So yeah, maybe Luis Diaz has a little bit better minutes, but still I think he's a little bit more riskier than the likes of Gakpo. So yeah, but nonetheless, overall, I still think, you know, he's still a solid pick. He's still a solid pick. So that's why I've got him in that tier. And then in the avoid tier, I've just got Diogo Jota and Darwin Núñez. Obviously, Jota has been confirmed out for a few weeks, so just avoid him. And Darwin Núñez, although he is fit to play, I would just avoid him. You can't trust him. He's not reliable. We don't even know if he'll start. It's just way too risky, right? So yeah, in my opinion, that's how I would rank the Liverpool assets. Let me know what you guys do think of that down below in the comments. And let me know down below in the comments what 3 Liverpool players will you be going for this double game week. Or are you actually going for 2 Liverpool players and playing the assistant manager chip on Arne Slot? Who knows? Let me know your thoughts and what you're going to do down below in the comments. But with that being said, guys, let's just move on to the next players. So since we are on the topic of talking about double game weeks, I think it's only right we do speak on the Everton players. And you guys are probably wondering, should we be buying Everton players? Now, in my opinion, the answer to that is no. I think one Everton player is okay. One Everton defender, to be specific, is okay. Anything more, I think you're doing too much. Honestly, I think if you're looking to double or triple up on Everton assets, I think you're an absolute crazy person. That is my honest opinion, guys. I think, look, in all seriousness, right, I think having one Everton defender is okay, but anything more, like, I certainly wouldn't be going for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. What are you? Honestly, no. I would stay far away from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That's my honest opinion. I know he scored against Spurs, right? But still, it's not enough to convince me to buy him for a double game week, especially when you've got so many good forward options to buy. I would just be avoiding Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And the same goes for Ndiaye as well. In my opinion, I'd be looking to avoid him. Yes, it's nice having a double game week for your players, but honestly, how much of a double game week is this really for Everton? When one of the fixtures is against the best team, arguably the best team in the world at the moment, Liverpool. Is it really a double game week? For me, I think the only thing these Everton players are going to give you is just the extra appearance points for having a double game week. That's it. I highly doubt that Liverpool will concede to Everton. And I highly doubt that Everton will get a clean sheet against Liverpool. So for me, I just think they're going to get you the extra appearance points, which is why I think the one defender is okay. Of course, the game against Leicester at home is good, but after that, it's Liverpool at home, and even around sort of the double game week, right? The fixtures for Everton aren't even good. It's Brighton away, which is tough for Everton, right? Leicester at home is good, but then Liverpool at home is, of course, tough for Everton. Palace away is tough for Everton. Man United at home is tough for Everton. I know Man United have been poor, but still, we're talking about Everton here. One of the worst teams in the Premier League this season. I know they got a win against Spurs, but I watched that game, and they weren't that great, right? They gave up a lot of chances to Spurs. I think Spurs should have had a penalty as well. Son got fouled from a challenge challenged by Brent for 8. But look, nonetheless, right, I think I shouldn't really have to convince you guys that Everton are a poor team, because I think we all know that they are poor. And after the Man United game, it's Brentford away, right? I look at the next sort of 6 to 7 games, and they're all terrible, apart from this one game against Leicester at home. For me, it's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth stacking up and buying multiple Everton assets. I think one defender, whether it's Pickford in goal you go for, or Mikalenko, or Tarkowski, that's fine. But I wouldn't be going double Everton defence, and I wouldn't be buying an Everton attacker, right? That's just my personal opinion. I really don't think it's worth it. Everton are still a poor team. The fixture run as a whole is very, very bad. And like I said, in my opinion, I'm taking one game of Mbuemo Wissa over a double game week with Calvert-Lewin. I'm taking one game of Mateta over a double game week for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'm taking one game of Alexander-Isak over a double game week with Calvert-Lewin. So look, for me, there's a lot of players I'd rather have that have a single game week over the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin in that forward spot and Ndiaye in that forward spot. So yeah, in my personal opinion, I'd be hard avoiding, guys. I cannot stress this enough. I might look like an idiot. Maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin scores against Leicester and Liverpool. Who knows? But look, for me, I'm just giving you my opinion, right? I would be hard avoiding Calvert-Lewin. I'd be hard avoiding Ndiaye, especially when there's so many good forwards to pick from. I'd be considering to buy, one defender, but obviously I've already got one defender. I've already got Mikalenko, so I'm not going to buy another one. But if you don't have an Everton defender, then fine. I think buying one Everton defender is okay, and that's about it, right? That is just my personal opinion. So yeah, I'm going to leave it as that. Let me know what you guys do think of that down below in the comments. Are you going to be looking to buy Everton players for their double game week? If you are, then fair play. Yeah, that's just your decision. It's your FPL team. You do what you want. But that's it. Let me know what you guys think of that in the comments, and let's move on to the next players. All right, guys. So next up, we do have the Brentford duo of Bryan Mbuemo and Mbuemo Wissa. And I quickly just wanted to tell you guys why, in my opinion, you should be looking to buy these two players for your FPL teams. I think this duo, right, with the fixture run that they have coming up, right? Starting off with Palace away, Spurs at home, who have been so poor from a defensive point of view. Then West Ham away, Leicester, Everton, Villa, Bournemouth. I think with this fixture run from 23 to 29, this duo of Bryan Mbuemo and Mbuemo Wissa will rack up FPL points, man. I think, look, when Brentford get goals, it's always one of Wissa or Bryan Mbuemo that are somehow, some way involved, whether it's for a goal or an assist, right? So for that reason, I would just look to be buying these two players. I think we know that they can get you goals. We know how good Brentford are also just attacking, right? I think defensively, yes, Brentford are poor, but they can certainly score goals. And they've been one of the best teams in the Premier League at home as well this season. So look, for me, I think, yeah, both players are absolutely fantastic. And also what I like about them, obviously with Mbuemo and Wissa, you get the guaranteed starts, you get the guaranteed minutes. They're not a rotation risk, and yeah, like I said, with Mbuemo you get the penalties as well, which is always a bonus. But the reason why I like Wissa as well, right, if you had to choose between, like, I've got Wissa myself, and I really am keen on Wissa, even more so than Mbuemo. I think, look, everyone knows sort of, what Mbuemo gives you. A lot of people actually have Mbuemo in their team already, but with Mbuemo Wissa, he's only got 10.1% ownership, right? So he is quite a differential to a certain extent. And I can tell you guys now, right, from watching Brentford, this man here, Mbuemo Wissa, is a big chance magnet, right? I've said it in a few of my recent videos, but I'll say it again. He's a big chance magnet from open play. And like I said, bro, a lot of the open play big chances fall to this man here, Mbuemo Wissa, right? So I really do like him. I think at his price, 6.2 million, he provides such great value. And it's part of the reason why I did bring him in for this Southampton game. Even though he had Man City and Liverpool, right, I knew that he would do well against Southampton. I knew that he would do well against City, and I benched him against Liverpool. So far for me, he's done really well. But guys, like I said, based off what I've seen from watching Brentford, I can't stress to you guys enough, right? The amount of big chances Mbuemo Wissa gets in a game from open play is absolutely ridiculous. So he will be involved in the goals for Brentford. He certainly will. So I'm a big fan of Mbuemo Wissa, but I actually think doubling up with Bryan Mbuemo and Mbuemo Wissa, honestly, could be a great play moving forward, because I almost think you're guaranteed points in one way or another, right? Brentford will get goals in these games, right? I really do see Brentford getting goals in these games. And I think both Bryan Mbuemo and Mbuemo Wissa will be a part of those goals. So, yeah, for me, doubling up isn't a bad play at all. Of course, Brian Mbuemo is much more sort of higher owned than Mbuemo Wissa. So if you are looking for a differential and maybe you want to back against Mbuemo, then I think going for Mbuemo Wissa is a great play, and it's something I've done myself. But I even myself am looking to bring in Mbuemo at some point as well. So yeah, for me, I think this double up is absolutely fantastic, man. I really do. Yeah, for me, they're both class, man. So I'd be looking to get Wissa and Mbuemo. So next up, I really wanted to speak to you guys about Phil Foden, because he has hit a bit of good form recently, as he's managed to get 5 goals and 1 assist in his last 3 Premier League games. Now, look, yes, I know Phil Foden has been in form. He's been cooking. I cannot deny it, right? 6 points against Leicester, 8 points against West Ham, and then a huge 15-point haul and a 19-point haul against Brentford and Ipswich. So he has been doing really well. But if you are looking to buy Phil Foden, I hate to be that guy. I hate to be a party pooper, but in my opinion, you should be avoiding Phil Foden, right? Yes, I know his form is really good at the moment, but when you look at these upcoming fixtures, if you don't have Phil Foden, I would be hard avoiding this player. Look, if you do have him, right, there is an argument to keep him for, I'd say, 1 more game at most, right? Chelsea at home isn't a bad fixture, so if you already own Phil Foden, then fair enough, keeping him for 1 more week against Chelsea at home, there is no problem with that. But like I said, if you don't own Phil Foden, I would be hard avoiding this player. I mean, just have a look at this fixture run. It's absolutely terrible, guys. It really is terrible. Chelsea at home, like I said, that's not too bad, but after that, it's Arsenal away. Terrible fixture for an attacker, in my opinion. Newcastle at home, Liverpool at home, Spurs away is good, of course, but then Forest away is going to be tough. So when you look at the next 6 to 7 games as a whole, it really isn't good for Manchester City, and for that reason, if you don't own Phil Foden, I wouldn't sort of get sucked in to buying this player, right? That's my honest opinion, because yeah, this fixture run is just shocking, right? Absolutely shocking. So yeah, like I said, if you don't own Phil Foden, I would be avoiding him, and like I said, if you do have him already, then keeping him for this Chelsea game isn't too bad. And to be honest with you guys, like I said, right, one of the reasons why I wouldn't be going for Phil Foden is because there's also just other players to go for, like Brian Mbuemo, for example, much more reliable with a much better fixture run as well. Anthony Gordon, again, in my opinion, much more reliable than Phil Foden with a pretty decent fixture run. Even Bruno Fernandes, for example, right, guys? I know Manchester United are poor, but if there's 2 players that are going to get you goals and assists from Manchester United, it's Amad Diallo and Bruno Fernandes. So I'd much rather spend money getting Bruno Fernandes instead of Phil Foden, for example. Even Luis Diaz, right? I'd much rather take a punt and take the risky pick with Luis Diaz, because the fixtures for Liverpool are so good. So for me, there's a lot more better options to get ahead of Phil Foden. So yeah, if you don't own Phil Foden, I hate to be that guy, like I already said, but yeah, for me, I would be hard avoiding this player. The fixture run just simply isn't good enough. And still, yes, Man City just beat Ipswich 6-0, but that's just still not fully clicking, right? They're still not fully clicking as a whole. So I think they'll struggle with that fixture run. And like I said, I would avoid him if you don't have him already. All right, guys. So next up, we do have Justin Kluivert, and he's actually managed to get a price rise up to 5.6 million. So I sort of wanted to discuss whether I do think he is a good option from this point onwards. Now, first things first, of course, we do know that Kluivert managed to bag a really good hat-trick against Newcastle. And in the game before, against Chelsea away, he also managed to get on the score sheet as well. So he's got 4 goals and 1 assist in his last 2 Premier League games. Now, do I believe Justin Kluivert is the man to go for at the moment? The answer is actually no. I don't think now is the right time to buy him. With the next 2 games being Nottingham Forest at home and Liverpool at home, I think these 2 games are really tricky for an attacker. Yes, Bournemouth have shown that they can actually play really well at home against the better sides in the Premier League. However, I just still don't think it makes sense buying a player, no matter how good a team might be at home, buying a player when they're playing against arguably 2 of the best defences in the Premier League this season in Liverpool and Nottingham Forest. So for me, I wouldn't be buying Justin Kluivert just yet. However, from game week 25 onwards, that's the perfect time to be bringing in Kluivert, in my opinion, because this fixture run is absolutely incredible. You know, Southampton away, Wolves at home, Brighton away, Spurs away, Brentford, Ipswich, West Ham, Fulham, Palace. Like, I could go on and on. But you guys can see here, that fixture run from game week 25 onwards is absolutely fantastic. So for me, I would wait until game week 25 when he's got Southampton away, because that's the entry point for a Bournemouth attacker like Justin Kluivert, in my opinion. But overall, all in all, I actually do think from Game Week 25, he's a good option, and that's also because I do believe his minutes will actually be a lot better because Bournemouth do have a lot of injuries, right? As you guys can see here, right, if we look at his minutes, they were a bit iffy, right? They weren't the best. He wasn't really a 90-minute player, and that's because Bournemouth did have other players that they could come off the bench, like Unal, for example, like Tavernier, who would usually start sometimes. Like they do have a lot of players missing, right? So because they've got so many players missing, Justin Kluivert actually does look good for minutes, right? Before we could see 68 minutes, 69 minutes, 71 minutes, right? It wasn't really good. But with the injuries they have, I do think that we'll see more minutes with Justin Kluivert. Like against Newcastle, he played 90 minutes, and that's because Bournemouth didn't really have, you know, quality enough players on the bench to actually bring on and impact the game. So that meant that Justin Kluivert was able to play a 90-minute game against Newcastle, and I think that will happen for as long as Bournemouth have injuries, right? So for that reason, I do like Kluivert. He also does take penalties as well, which is another bonus, and arguably why he could be better than Semenyo. With these injuries, I think I do prefer Kluivert over Semenyo because Kluivert does take penalties, and obviously Semenyo doesn't, right? With a fully fit squad, I would actually say Semenyo is actually better to go for as opposed to Kluivert, because Semenyo with a fully fit squad is more or less guaranteed 90 minutes, as you guys can see, right? Throughout the course of the season, he's got multiple 90-minute games, whereas the same can't be said for Kluivert. But with the injury crisis that Bournemouth sort of do have, I actually am leaning towards Kluivert as to being a better option over Semenyo because he does have the bonus of taking penalties as well. And I just think his goal threat is higher than Semenyo, for example, right? His open play goal threat is actually higher. When you look at his underlying data, right? Over the course of the season, right, you can see expected goals here. Semenyo has racked up 0.3, whereas Kluivert actually does have a lot more expected. He's racked up a lot more expected goals. Yes, some of that is down to penalties, but like I'm saying, that's part of the reason what makes him a better option over Semenyo. But yeah, as you guys can see here, Kluivert has racked up 0.52 expected goals per 90 this season, right? So yeah, all in all, I really do like the Bournemouth attackers, whether it's Semenyo or Kluivert, but just from Game Week 25 onwards. To just put it simply, I wouldn't be buying Kluivert now. I think the next two games are very, very tough. But yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Kluivert, and I think moving forward from Game Week 25 onwards, he could be a really, really great option, and he's a massive differential as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys do think of Justin Kluivert. Will you be looking to buy him for your FPL teams? Let me know. But yeah, that is going to be it for today's video. I really do hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you do smash a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you for the massive support on the channel recently, guys. We are so close to hitting 2,000 subscribers, so please, if you haven't, hit that sub button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And yeah, like I said, smash a like, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. But until then, I'm out. Peace.